He brings a lot of values to the table and a lot of diversity again. He's a native of Athens, Greece, but came to America as a young boy and quickly assimilated himself. And my guess is that athletics was a big part of that process. Am I right, John? John Margaritis has been the head women's basketball coach for 12 years at the University of California, Riverside, of course, a Division I program. They have made 6 postseasons. Of course, that's the goal of every season, to be playing into March and someday even April. And John has made the NCAAs 3 times and the NIT 3 times in a very challenging conference. And this is after coaching at the high school level and the college level in the Chicago area. His team this year was particularly good. And as a consequence, I think they had a winning streak of about 16 games. They were 16-0 in their conference, made the NCAAs. John has 294 career victories, including 164 at Cal Riverside, and has been named the Big West Coast Conference Coach of the Year on 2 occasions. He brings something new. I mean, there's a trend here. We had 6 out of the 7 scholar athletes were female. We inducted Nikki Giannoulis, swelling our female ranks out of our 140 Hall of Famers to about 5. So we're working on it, and now we have a women's basketball coach joining people like Steve Lapis, and Stan Spiro, amongst others. Bravo, John. Please join us.
Yeah, we're going to do that first. Wow, there's a lot of people out here. Well, after that kind of introduction, I can't even wait to hear what I have to say. Yeah, I was listening to Nick transition from soccer to football. And back home, you know, we transitioned also, and the way that worked, and I told Mr. Stamos last night, is when I was in high school, they were trying to decide who's going to play basketball, who's going to play football. So there's a little forest right there by the school. And they had us run through the forest. All the kids that ran around the trees played basketball. The kids that ran into the trees played football. Okay, so anyway, thank you. It's great to be here. Okay, so I'm so honored to be here today, and I wanted to start off by making it clear that this induction is not a product of any individual accomplishments. As a coach, you don't get this kind of a situation with your individual accomplishments, but a culmination and effort, sweat, and a lot of tears from many other people, like players, coaches, trainers, support staff, administrators, parents, that participated with me throughout my 37 plus years of coaching career. In my mind's eye, I see most of them, if not all of them, in this room, waiting in line to get inducted alongside me, because they played such a big part. It's an honor and a privilege for me to be here and represent all of them as we are being inducted in the AHEPA Athletics Hall of Fame. I want to spend a few minutes to tell you about me and pay homage to some of the people who have influenced my journey in coaching, or in the coaching profession from the beginning until now. I've always wanted to be a coach. It has been a tough journey trying to be a part of this fine profession. It's very competitive, but one that I would never trade for anything else. Becoming a coach was a very difficult proposition for me. The difficulty started out by having to tell my parents that I no longer pursue a career or a major in electrical engineering. But I will pursue a career in coaching, and my new major is physical education. My dad and mom could not understand where they went wrong as parents. It took them a few years before they concluded that I was not a complete failure. My first 6 years of coaching at the collegiate level, my salary was somewhere between volunteer and $500 a year. 6 years like that. So I stayed at home, worked odd jobs in order to make ends meet. I mean, really, those were very humbling beginnings. It all started 3 years before I started coaching at the college level. I started coaching at St. Demetrius Church in Chicago, Illinois. The coaching bug bit me, and there was no turning back. At St. D's, I had the opportunity to coach in the Greek League. I started coaching while I was still in high school and continued my first 2 years of college. While at St. D's, I got to meet people who inspired me to pursue a career in athletics. I looked up to people like Steve Pappas, Kirk Vitas, and Mr. Nicholson, who was a member of our church. They were all members of our church. And Mr. Buzeas, who ran the NHIB team. What a huge inspiration they all were. Now you have to understand they were all different in their own way. But they were all successful, and I wanted to be like one of them. I wanted to achieve greatness through sport, just like they had. People looked up to them, and for their part, they were all great role models for me and for others. So after I told my parents about my new career, I set off to become a coach without really knowing what I was getting into. I volunteered as an assistant coach at the women's basketball team at Northeastern Illinois University and jump-started my career. So actually, I never really ever coached high school. Looking back, I had very little knowledge of the game and how to navigate through the ups and downs of being a collegiate basketball coach. But now, at age 19, I was the assistant coach at Northeastern Illinois University. I was so ambitious, so happy, and so clueless. One of our church members, Mr. Diantis, in an effort to help me receive some guidance, had arranged a meeting with a successful collegiate coach down the street at North Park College, Coach Dan McCarroll. Coach McCarroll had just won 3 consecutive NCAA Division III national championships. And when he met me, he asked a lot of questions in an effort to give me some guidance. And he also asked me what I wanted to achieve as a coach. I exclaimed that without hesitation, I wanted to be a Division I head basketball coach. So Coach McCarroll then proceeded to give me a life's lesson. So what he did is he walked over to the chalkboard and he put 2 dots about a foot or 2 feet apart. Put a dot here and a dot here. And he said, this is where you are and this is where you want to be. And then he drew a straight line connecting them. And he said that if you expect to go there on a straight line, you'll never get there. And then he took that chalk and he went up and down and up and down and up and down until he finally connected the 2 dots. And then he said that if you were willing to go through his ups and downs throughout your life, then maybe you would get to that dot. Man, was he right. But what a great lesson I learned that day at such a young age from a great coach who took time to offer advice to a young kid whom he had just met. It took me 26 years of coaching to become a Division I head coach. That's not easy. There's so many times that you wonder if you're doing the right thing. So many times you want to quit. And if you do, nobody really cares. And it's over. So it was not 2.6 years or even 5 years that I had imagined. It was a lot more. So in the process, I learned a thing or two about persistence and perseverance. I always wanted to be a head coach, compared to an assistant coach because I thought it would be more prestigious. I don't think like this anymore. As a coach, any coach, you are a teacher, a confidant, a role model, and the support system for many who count on you. In some ways, you are a servant to the team, to the people who work with you. It's an awesome responsibility, and I feel blessed to be able to do so much for so many people for so many years. Every day I thank the Lord for giving me the opportunity to play a role in the development and betterment of so many lives. Anyway, enough about me. There are 3 coaches that I would like to mention who played a significant role in my life. Coach Bob Spencer is a simple man. He and his wife Pat live in Des Moines, Iowa, retired and enjoying life. Coach Spencer was the first basketball coach in the United States to win 500 games at the collegiate level. He was the first coach to have basketball camp in the United States for girls. He was the first to give a scholarship to a female basketball player in the United States. He's a pioneer when it comes to the game of basketball for women's basketball. He hired me in 1989 to be his #1 assistant at Fresno State. And he took advantage of the situation and played a huge role in my development as a person, as a coach, and as a man. I learned discipline, work ethic, and intestinal fortitude, among other things, from Coach Spencer. He was demanding, fair, and not afraid to speak the truth, even when you didn't want to hear it. He's a little guy with a big heart and a mountain size of accomplishments. He grew up in the farm in Iowa, and through all of his success, he never lost the simplicity of being a regular guy. Through example, he instilled many virtues to people who came in contact with him, including me. I owe him a lot, and I would not be the man I am today if Coach Spencer had not been in my life. On April 22nd, 2004, I finally achieved my lifelong ambition to become a Division I basketball coach. The person who gave me this opportunity is Coach Stan Morrison, who at the time was the Director of Athletics at UC Riverside when he hired me. Coach Morrison not only believed in me when others had not, but he has gone above and beyond than just hiring me. He not only gave me the opportunity to fulfill my dream, but he also has worked very hard every day to assist in any way he can towards my success. He became my basketball mentor. Together we have spent hundreds of hours talking basketball and analyzing my approach as a coach and the strengths and weaknesses of the team. Coach Morrison has always taken time out of his very busy life to attend our games in order to give me an honest opinion about what we do well and what we need to work on. Stan Morrison played college basketball at Cal. He was a member of the 1959 National Championship team, NCAA National Championship team. He went on from there to play professional in Europe for Real Madrid. He has served as Director of Athletics at UC Santa Barbara and UC Riverside, and he has coached at UOP, San Jose State, and USC. Most recently, he has served on the NCAA Basketball Tournament Committee. He resides in Riverside, and I get to see him and hang out with him often. Coach Ted Rodopoulos came into my life as my basketball career was getting started. I met him by accident. Now, so many years later, even though he lives in Greece, I feel very close to him and consider him family, and one of the most influential people in my development as a coach. Coach Rodopoulos came to America from Greece when he was young, and he has not stopped coming back to the States. He studied the game of basketball in the United States and Europe with some of the best coaches that have ever lived and coached this great game of ours. Theodoros Rodopoulos is the pioneer of Greek basketball. He has dedicated his whole life to the game and single-handedly transformed Greece into one of the top basketball countries in the world. He understands the game at a very high level. There is no coach in Greece that does not know and appreciate what Coach Rodopoulos has done as a teacher and as an innovator for the coaches and players and the game of basketball in our old country. So here I was in Greece, I was 24 years old, hired by Coach Rodopoulos to work his camp, the first basketball camp ever held in Greece. It was in Thessaloniki in the summer of 1983. He doesn't know this, but from the beginning I was so impressed with his basketball knowledge. I loved listening to him explain how the game really works. A lot of my success is directly related to what I have learned from him. He taught me how to think the game. I want you to understand there is an enormous amount of respect and even reverence that the Greek coaches show towards Coach Rodopoulos. And as you probably figured out, I'm no exception. When it comes to X's and O's, he's as good as they come. Coach Rodopoulos flew from Greece and is here in the audience today to be with me for this momentous occasion. And I want to acknowledge him and say thank you for all that he has done and continues to do. In closing, I would like to thank the guys and girls from our church back in San Bernardino, AHEPA District 20, Chapter 302. Thank you for nominating me for this honor and for all their support. I would also like to thank members of AHEPA, starting with Supreme President Galanis, Lua Teves, and Mr. Greg Stamers, who's been there from the beginning and guided me all the way to this ballroom. And the rest of the Athletic Hall of Fame Selection Committee who selected me for this year's induction. And finally, I want to thank my family. First of all, I would like to acknowledge and thank my mom and dad, who instilled in me many of the traits necessary to overcome the obstacles that would come my way in my 37 years of coaching and through life. They also became my biggest supporters and my biggest fans. And I want to thank my wonderful wife, Eleni, and our 7 boys. And you thought I was on the road. Yeah, they cannot be here today because they're in Greece. Or it's because it's Wednesday and they're working now. They're in Greece. And they're in Cyprus. And we couldn't change, by the time we found out it was already done, we couldn't change so many tickets. They're due back on August 3rd. Thank you.
Seven boys. He's got a starting 5 and 2 subs. Told me about his team last year, right, John, that finished here with 7 girls, and they were not allowed to foul, so 7's the magic number. Congratulations, John. Our next recipient is another NFL player. That